The rear naked choke is the most classic of submissions. It works gi and no gi. It works in MMA. It's been practiced for 2,000 years. You can see Greek statues of folks getting rear naked choke. So it always works, and I definitely encourage you to get good at that. However, if you're with someone who knows you're trying to rear naked choke them, there are many other options that we're going to need to use, especially in the gi. This next choke is sort of the counterpart to the rear naked choke, and we call it alternatively the short choke, the Fedor Choke, because Fedor Emelianenko used it, or the Gable Grip Choke, which is the grip that we use when we finish it. This choke is wonderful on its own merits, but usually you'll be using it when someone has defended your rear naked choke. Before I get into it, I just want to point out, again, there are two types of choke. There's a blood choke, which puts your buddy to sleep and is not necessarily very painful. It compresses the carotid arteries. And an air choke, which compresses the trachea, which is usually quite painful. Will still put your buddy to sleep, but they'll usually tap much before that because it hurts a lot. So if I'm on Ilias's back, I'm going to show them without the usual setup at first, and then we'll show the setup next, just so you'll know the situation you might have to use this. So if I do the rear naked choke, right? I get this, and this is all in the rear naked choke video, but got my good back control. When I'm ready, I come palm to palm, ratchet my elbow in front, and you see how the human neck is a V, and how my bicep on one side and my forearm on the other side is cutting off Ilias's carotid arteries. And now I just try to pinch my elbows together as my head comes down, and gently flex my bicep. And Ilias, that's not painful at all, right? Not at all. It just feels really tight.
Cozy.
Cozy, right? Exactly. It just kind of gets great. That's the ideal, right? The ideal of the choke is that you want to put your partner to sleep without too much resistance, without having to use too much strength. But realistically, a lot of times and we'll get into the setup in a second, a lot of times people are going to defend, and you're not going to get that. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But let's say we didn't even try to get this elbow ratcheted in front. You can still finish a rear naked choke like this, although it's not as powerful. But what the Gable Grip Choke or the Fedor Choke is, the blade of my wrist comes in front of his trachea, and I get a palm-to-palm grip. My ear is next to his ear. I want you to watch my elbows. This elbow comes behind his shoulder blade, holding his shoulder blade in place, and I just try to row this elbow behind his right shoulder blade, and Ilias will tap before it gets there, I absolutely guarantee it. Oh, God. It's not good. It's not a lot of fun, right? It's the bony part of my wrist going into his trachea. I'm not going to hold the grip this time. I'm just going to show you the motion. What I'm trying to do is essentially row this elbow behind, right? With these two hands close together. You can see Fedor Emelianenko used this choke in Pride. Really, really powerful choke. Dewan Owens, really excellent with this choke. Finished some MMA fights with it. So why would we use this choke? So first of all, sometimes we'll just catch it. But usually what's going to happen is I'm here, and I want my rear naked choke, right? So I have my nice control. Now I come here, and Ilias knows I want the rear naked choke, exactly. So he hangs on my arms. And so now I can't, it's literally impossible for me to ratchet my elbow in front of his chin. So instead what I do is I bring this elbow behind his shoulder blade and go ahead and hang on my arms. And I'm going to do this nice and slow, just because I don't, it is a painful choke. But like Ilias has his defenses in just the way he wants them. And all I do is I try and roll this elbow back. And you have your hands in where you want them, right? So this is a good opportunity for when they defend the rear naked choke. There's another, and like, I'm going to show that, I'm not going to finish, I'm going to finish it one more time, just because I always feel bad for the uke when I demonstrate this on. But before I finish it for one last time, I want to show how this is the second line to the rear naked choke in a couple of senses, right? You have to crawl before you can walk, and you have to control before you attack, because you always compromise a little bit of control when you attack. Right now I have two arms and my entire upper body devoted to controlling Ilias, and when I try and separate to get this, I give up a little bit of control, right? So you have to expect a little bit of resistance here. And let's say I go for my rear naked choke, and Ilias blocks my hands, like grabs my hand. This is another situation where we might go for the sliding collar choke, which we cover in another video, right? Because we can't get the elbow all the way across, but hey, the collar's right here. Same sense for the Fedor choke. Now is the last time we're going to show it. I'm here. I really want the rear naked choke. Boom, my buddy grabs and hangs on it. This elbow just makes a frame. Let's rotate this way so they can see for sure what my elbow is doing. This elbow just ratchets behind, and now imagine my right elbow pulling for his right shoulder blade. And you see how much further that I have to go in pulling, and I'm not using almost any strength at all. So the Gable Grip Choke, aka the short choke, aka the Fedor Choke, is a painful choke, but is a really good alternative when your opponent successfully defends the rear naked choke. So get good at, and be sure you drill it either with somebody you really like a lot or somebody you don't like